Guys, hello, welcome to this short video. I just want to go through the question on the screen there, really. And I know sometimes this can be a bit of a taboo subject when we talk about mental health, but I just want to kind of reframe this for you if I can. So I want to just think about, is the medical model of mental health keeping you stuck? Now, so often when we talk about mental health, we think straight away of the negatives. What we actually talk about is mental ill health. And it's so different to if we were speaking about physical health. If I asked you about your physical health, maybe you could say, I just started running or I just started going to the gym. Everything's going really well. I'm really enjoying it. We tend to focus on the positives and everything that's going well. But for some reason, when we speak about mental health, it's completely the opposite. We just kind of revert straight to the negative of, struggling with this or this is happening or, this is an issue that I'm facing at the minute. And for me, a lot of it comes down to kind of the medical model and how it works. And then also probably the kind of media coverage within this country. But yeah, I just want to go through that question, provide maybe a new way of thinking for you. And then, yeah, hopefully you will leave this video with a bit more knowledge and kind of expertise on the area than when you came in. So, first of all, for me, the issues with this medical model, there's three main issues for me. The first one that is it's symptom focused. So, what I mean by that is we are sat focusing on the issues at hand and the root cause of those issues. So we're not really thinking about kind of paving the way for us to move forward or have success. We are thinking, why are we like this? And that's one thing for me that will keep you stuck. The second one is diagnostic driven. So if you went through the DSM and kind of the different modules of that as time's gone on. Each and every time they release a new one, there are hundreds to thousands of new mental ill health conditions that didn't exist the last time that they released the previous module. So for me, that's just putting a label on people, and that can be putting once you kind of explain your current situation, how you're feeling, there will definitely be a mental health condition that you could be pigeonholed into based on your current situation. So for me, that this diagnosis driven kind of leads to like a labeling really. So I have depression, I have anxiety, rather than again focusing on what can be done. And then finally, it focuses on these problems in isolation. So we're looking at things kind of through that lens and zoomed in, rather than taking a step back and understanding that actually the way that kind of the body works and the way that we work as human beings, everything we do is kind of interdependent with one another. So if we can improve one aspect, it'll have a positive effect on another. But sometimes we don't look at that. And again, that problems in isolation thing probably comes back to the fact we are symptom focused. So we are solely focusing on the reason why something is wrong, not the how to make it better. So, kind of what I mean by this, and I've touched base on a little bit of these kind of through that first slide. So, we tend to label people rather than um, promote empowerment. So, rather than promoting, let's this is not a label that you're stuck with for life. It's something you can work on. It's something you can improve. We're kind of just left with a label that can be attached with us for life. We go from rather than looking at it from a point of growth and looking to kind of move towards your whole person potential and kind of achieve what is possible for you, we get kind of trapped in that crisis management phase. Now, for me, again, this is that reactivity versus proactivity. And a crisis management is just completely always thinking about the root cause of the issue. Why do I feel this way? And I'm not saying that it isn't important, but it's not the only thing that you need to think about. And again, I just kind of mentioned that one now, but we're missing that bigger holistic picture. So we're honing in on like a really small problem or the catalyst for this problem, the catalyst for why we feel a certain way, without zooming out and understanding that there's probably other lifestyle factors that might be playing a role in this as well. And we can ignore them. And if we ignore them, then we're never going to get better because they're not going to develop themselves. They don't just magically change. So for me, what this leads to and the reason why you feel stuck is because with the label and with the kind of sole focus being on the issue, we feel as though we're broken, as if we can't be fixed because we're not actually looking at a solution. We are solely focusing on a problem. We become reliant on external fixes. Now, this could be medication, counseling, therapy, but we become reliant on things that are outside of our control. It's very short term focused. There's no kind of understanding of how to change for the long term. How do we make that change last? How do we prevent a relapse back into kind of this state where we're feeling like a subjective low well-being or mental health? And finally, we end up with this constant cycle. We become overloaded with stress. We manage to cope when things calm down, but then we're hit again with another load of stress and we're unable to cope because we don't have the systems, we don't have the foundations in place in order to cope. So what to do instead, and kind of why I created my program, why I do what I do, is because of this. So for me, this quick introduction to wellbeing fear is the really important thing here. It isn't just the absence of illness, and this is the same for mental health. If you were to Google the definition of well-being or the definition of mental health, you would see that it does mention this isn't just the absence of illness, but the feeling of life going well, the feeling of positivity, social and physical and mental states that are all distinctly positive. Now, well-being for me is focusing on the bigger picture, focusing on the whole person, focusing on you as a complete package. And this takes us from surviving to thriving because we go away from zooming in to that one problem and just focusing on getting over it, managing it the best we can, to thriving, where we are looking at all aspects of our life. Where can we improve? Where does one aspect have a positive impact on another? Now, some key terms that you'll probably hear if you've seen any of my content in the past or you go on to watch more of my content, I talk about this term allostatic load a lot, and not to get too scientific, but just think of it as kind of your body's budget and your ability to adapt to stress. Now, important things for me are stress can be positive and negative. So often we hear the term stress, we think straight away like, oh, it's a bad thing. We do need some stress in our lives because that's how our body adapts. It's how we become stronger. And without that stress, we don't have nothing to adapt to, so we'll never grow as a person. But think of it really as like the easiest way is like a bucket. So if your bucket is starting to overflow with water, your allostatic load's kind of unbalanced, and suddenly you can't cope with the demands that life's throwing at you. So the way for me, three simple ways, but very powerful ways in which we can help to manage that. First of all is our recovery. So how do we live? What are our recovery strategies? Do we get home after a long day of work and have copious amounts of alcohol, or fall asleep on the couch, or binge through our phone on social media? Do we understand what our values are, what they mean to us? Do we live according to them? Do you even know, the importance of this and what your values actually are? It's something that's very important, but so often misunderstood. And then finally, a mindset. So let's just take a work-related stress example here. How are you currently analysing and processing comments made by somebody at work? And if we can step back, understand that the action and kind of the activating event, which would be someone talking to you, the consequences we get from that are all shaped by our beliefs and how we interpret that situation. So if we can kind of internalize for a moment, really think about our actions, our attitudes, and our beliefs prior to reacting, we're giving ourselves the best possible opportunity for more positive outcomes. Now, that's not just physically and kind of in the situation, but emotionally too. So for me, this is a big thing. It is the shift from kind of focusing and honing on the negative to understanding the power of positivity. So rather than fixing symptoms, which does not do anything to help you move forward, we start to build capacity. We start to build a bigger bank where we can manage with more stress and still cope just fine. We go from reacting to problems and kind of waiting for problems to arise, we're waiting to hit rock bottom before we start to make a change, to actually implementing and designing recovery and growth into our everyday life. So we go from reactivity to proactivity. And the final one for me, we stop seeing ourselves as the patient within the medical model, and we start to see ourselves as the leader of our own health and well-being. We are the ones that are in control of how we think, how we feel, and the actions we take to improve our health and well-being. So for me, where to start? Either you've been sent this video on the back of asking for my um, stress management worksheet. So I've sent this as an added bonus just to give a bit more detail into where I feel your issues may be arising from currently. So I would definitely recommend going through that worksheet, taking the time, understanding where your current stress is coming from, but then also creating a pathway to work on this and develop the skills and resources that you need to kind of move beyond this. Um, but then also, I think if you found this video of use, please feel free. My Instagram tagline's there. Just drop me a DM. Let's have a chat about your current situation, where you're at the minute, and what you can do to move forward. I'm always more than happy to kind of go back and forth in the DMs and that to understand a bit more about your situation and if I can help and how specifically that is. So I hope you've enjoyed this short video. It's obviously for me, it's just a bit of a quicker video with just an introduction into the terms of where I feel a lot of people are stuck at the moment, which is kind of being pigeonholed with I have depression, I have anxiety, which may cause us to constantly look back and think, what caused this? Why do I have this? What was the trigger point for me? Rather than thinking, you know what? I can improve my social well-being by doing X, Y, and Z. I can start going to the gym, improve my physical well-being. I can change things about my mindset. I can incorporate a better recovery strategy into my lifestyle. I might start meditating before bed. I'm going to ensure that I get more, better quality sleep. I'm going to put the phone down before I go to bed. Now, all these things seem really small in isolation, but you put them together, they can have a massive difference. So if you want more information on kind of my program, the Flourishing Framework, how that works, and how it could be of use to you, like I say, please just drop me a DM and I'll be in touch. I appreciate you staying to the end of the video and I hope to see you in the next one.